Chapter 1, The Package They Didn't Open. The dropship hit the Vorthen moon's surface with a grinding shudder, kicking up a toxic storm of red dust and static-charged debris. Commander Lyra Cade braced herself as the hull screamed in protest. Oxygen filters hissed into her helmet. Grounded. No welcome party. Yet, said Sergeant Kane, his eyes scanning the cracked horizon through his visor. The landscape looked like it had been chewed by a god and spat out, jagged cliffs, shattered monoliths, rivers of molten ash glowing beneath a fractured crust. Lyra didn't answer. She was focused on the steel container bolted to the dropship floor behind them. Codename, REX-7. Origin, Human Black Projects Division. Status, Controlled Deployment Only. Warning, do not open without final authorization. It wasn't a container. It was a coffin. A cradle. A loaded gun with a pulse. She keyed her wrist pad. Alpha Team, Perimeter. Defensive Diamond. Keep the box in the center. We don't engage unless provoked. The team obeyed without question. They didn't know what was in the container. Only she did. They hiked half a click toward the extraction beacon, footfalls sinking into ash and bone. The entire moon reeked of rot and heat. Kane coughed inside his suit. Deathworld Alliance isn't just a name. It's a damn truth. Lyra replied, they breed in fire and spit acid. Don't expect kindness. The Vorthens had ruled this moon for decades, until now. Earth had sent a message. But Lyra wasn't sure it was the right one. As they neared the beacon, comms flared. Multiple life signs. Closing fast. Not ours. Shields up. Box in the middle, Lyra snapped. The first Vorthen came out of the dust like a nightmare wrapped in bone, 12 feet tall, skin like obsidian armor, eyes pulsing orange. Then came 5 more. Then 10. Lyra lifted her rifle. Kane cursed. We're not walking out of this one. The Vorthens didn't speak. They just roared. Gunfire lit the storm. Kane was the first to fall, split from shoulder to waist. The rest followed in quick flashes of screaming, blood, and static. Lyra retreated behind the container, clutching her pulse pistol, her breathing sharp and hollow. She tapped the emergency panel on the coffin. One chance. No second guessing. It asked for her authorization code. Commander Lyra Cade. Override code Alpha 6 Tango. The lock disengaged. The lid hissed open. Inside lay a boy, no older than 10 by appearance, but that was a lie. His skin shimmered faintly, like light refracting off water. Hairless. Pale. His eyes snapped open, pitch black, like the void between stars. He stood without command. Lyra raised a shaky hand. REX-7, execute defensive protocol. The boy tilted his head. He stepped into the storm. And then, the screaming began. Not Lyra's team. The Vorthens. One tried to crush him with a boulder-sized claw. REX-7 moved, too fast to track. The Vorthen's limb hit the ground before its mind realized it was gone. Another charged. The boy extended a hand. Gravity folded. The beast's armor compressed inward with a wet snap. Bones shattered like glass under pressure. Lyra dropped her weapon. It didn't matter. This wasn't a firefight. It was a slaughter. REX didn't smile. Didn't speak. He moved, with mathematical elegance. Each step, each gesture, designed to erase threats like lines from a chalkboard. And then, silence. The battlefield was a field of meat. Charred, mangled, leaking alien fluids. Rex stood in the center, staring at the red dust swirling in his wake. Lyra approached, slow. Her voice trembled despite years of hardened nerves. Status? He turned to face her. All hostiles neutralized, he said in a voice that didn't belong to a child. Then a pause. Why were they screaming? Lyra blinked. Because they were dying. He tilted his head. I wasn't. She didn't answer. Rex walked past her, stopping beside Kane's broken body. He looked down at the blood pooling through the dust. This one stopped functioning. Like the others. But not from me. Lyra knelt. He was your ally. Rex looked up. Something flickered in those dark eyes, barely. Ally. Not target. She reached into her pack and pulled out a small chip, etched with synthetic memory traces. I brought this for you. In case you activated. She offered it. Rex hesitated, then placed a finger to the chip. It dissolved into his skin. He blinked. Then again. And finally, his next sentence wasn't a report. It was a question. Commander Cade, what am I? Lyra closed her eyes. She hadn't prepared for that. You're ours. A weapon. But also more. He looked to the horizon. I don't feel like a weapon. Lyra stood. You're not supposed to. That's why I'm here. Rex nodded, eyes narrowing at the distant sky. A Vorthan cruiser broke through the clouds, massive, armed. They're returning, he said. Lyra checked her pulse pistol. Futile. Yeah. They want you now. Rex's face didn't change. But something in the air around him did, pressure, hum, vibration. Let them come. Chapter 2, The Screams That Still Echo. The battlefield was silent now, but the ground still steamed. Lyra stepped over the torn husk of a Vorthan lieutenant, its spine twisted into a helix of burnt bone. REX-7 stood at the edge of the blast crater he'd created, his back to her, his outline shimmering against the red sky like a mirage refusing to fade. He hadn't moved since the last enemy fell. She walked slowly, crunching over charred debris. REX, she said, not as a command, just a name. Just a sound meant to tether him to the present. He turned. His eyes weren't glowing. Just watching. I didn't feel anything. The words dropped like metal into her chest. That's the design, Lyra answered. You weren't built to feel. You were built to decide. Rex looked down at his own hands. The skin had retracted during combat, revealing synthetic tendons and glowing filaments beneath. Now, slowly, the flesh regrew, perfect, childlike, unreal. But I chose not to stop. She took that in. Yes, she said quietly. You did. Up above, clouds began to bend and part. A distant roar, deep and mechanical, signaled incoming craft. Lyra tapped her visor. Recon scan. Confirming ID. The readout scrolled across her HUD. Unidentified Deathworld Alliance warcraft, class, planetfall strike cruiser. Armament, anti-orbital plasma net. Purpose, capture or incineration. They're not here to negotiate, she muttered. Rex's voice came again. Will they scream like the others? She turned toward him sharply. That's not what matters. He blinked. Slowly. I don't understand. Lyra crouched beside a broken helmet, the last intact piece of Kane's armor. She didn't pick it up. She just looked at it like she was waiting for it to say something. Neither do I, she admitted. The comms channel lit up. A voice, oily and booming, filled the air. You will surrender the asset. You will receive painless termination. Resist, and extinction follows. Skarn. Lyra recognized the tone. High Warlord of the Vorthan brood. He wasn't bluffing. He didn't have to. Rex tilted his head. They want me. Yes, Lyra said. Alive. To study you. Use you. Breed something worse. He processed that. Then. You created me to stop them. So why am I not stopping them? His voice was flat, but his fists trembled. Because stopping them is easy, she said. Living with what you become. That's the war we never tell you about. The cruiser descended. No subtlety. No stealth. They thought they could crush everything beneath it. Maybe they could. Rex stepped forward. Permission to engage? Lyra didn't answer. She remembered the final debate back on Earth, a council of generals, scientists, and ghosts with medals pinned to hollow suits. She'd said it, clear as daylight. You can program loyalty. You can't program a soul. Don't build something you're not prepared to love, or lose. They built REX anyway. And now they were nowhere to be found. She faced him. No permission. Not yet. He didn't argue. Just waited. Machines could do that forever. Above, the Vorthan cruiser opened its underbelly. A pod dropped, fast, sleek, armored. It struck ground 100 meters away, burrowing deep and erupting upward in a tower of flame. Out walked Skarn. Taller than the others. Heavily armored. A walking weapon. He didn't speak at first. Just stared. Then, "You call that a child?" His voice scraped like blades grinding inside stone. "You've made a god." Lyra raised her pistol. A gesture, not a threat. "Step away. Final warning." Skarn laughed. "You think your voice commands him?" "No, human. I see it now. You're afraid of him too." She didn't lower the pistol. Rex walked forward. Slowly. Deliberately. "You caused the screaming," he said. Skarn grinned, baring jaws lined with bone hooks. "I enjoyed it." Rex raised a hand. Skarn moved first, lightning fast. He fired a gravpulse cannon directly at Rex's chest. The air ripped as the beam struck. And stopped. Mid-air. Hanging like a frozen ripple. Rex reached forward and touched it. The pulse reversed. Skarn screamed as his armor crumpled inward, veins of orange fire cracking through his skin. But REX stopped it. Midway. Left him gasping, half-crushed, unable to move. Rex turned to Lyra. "Why did I stop?" Her voice came slow. Measured. "Because this is your choice. Not ours." Skarn howled in rage, pinned by invisible force. "You're a weapon. Use him, or he'll be used by us. You can't control what you don't understand." Rex stepped closer. "You don't understand me either." He released Skarn. The warlord fell, coughing blood, humiliated. "Next time," REX said coldly, "I won't stop." Skarn crawled back to the pod. It sealed. Launched upward in retreat. The cruiser followed. Lyra watched the sky swallow them whole. Then silence. Rex stood still, face unreadable. Lyra approached. Her voice was low, calm. "Why did you spare him?" Rex looked toward the ashes of the battlefield. "Because I didn't feel anything. And I wanted to." She didn't respond. Just nodded. He looked up again. "Is that wrong?" She gave the only answer she could. "No. It means you're starting to become more than what we made you for." They turned, side by side, walking toward the distant ridge. Toward extraction. Toward something they couldn't name yet. But behind them, beneath the still smoking ground, the screams still echoed. Chapter 3, Weapon or Son? The sky split open. Vorthan troop carriers, 7 in total, descended in coordinated waves, their angular hulls bristling with weaponry meant to subdue titans. The planet's crust trembled as shock pods punched into the ground, spilling troops bred for one purpose: capture REX-7 alive. Lyra stood on the ridge, wind slicing across her armor. She counted 200 soldiers, maybe more. Claws, plasma throwers, brute exosuits. Skarn had sent everything. He wasn't coming to negotiate this time. He wanted his prize. Rex stood beside her, eyes fixed forward. Silent. Not afraid. "They won't talk first," Lyra said. "I know," REX replied. He stepped forward. Then stopped. Tell me what to do. She looked at him. Really looked. Not at the glow under his skin. Not at the flawless, engineered face. But the question in his voice. The weight in his silence. I can't tell you anymore, she said. That's the point. You choose now. He stared at the army descending like a tide of teeth and thunder. His jaw tightened. If I choose to fight. Then fight because you know why, she said. Not because we made you to. Below, the Vorthans roared. And REX moved. He launched down the slope, a blur of motion, kicking up earth and heat behind him. The first wave opened fire, concussion blasts and thermal nets, but none landed. Rex wove through them like light slicing through mist. A soldier lunged, REX caught its head, twisted, dropped it in a motion smoother than thought. Another came from behind. He flicked his fingers. Gravity collapsed. The brute folded like a star imploding. More came. Scores. Hundreds. And still, he danced. Each movement was calculated, but not mechanical. Purposeful. Not cold. REX wasn't destroying for destruction's sake. He was choosing. Above, Skarn watched from his command vessel, eyes narrowing. Initiate the failsafe, he growled. His lieutenant hesitated. But, we don't control him. No. But she does. A coded pulse transmitted from the cruiser. Lyra's wrist console vibrated. A red icon blinked. Failsafe protocol engaged. Detonation in 60 seconds. Her chest tightened. They wired REX without telling her. She hit override. Denied. Security clearance revoked. Damn you, she whispered, smashing her fist into the console. REX didn't know. She ran toward the battlefield. He was in the center now, surrounded by fallen enemies, his breathing labored, body flickering between human and machine. She reached him, grabbed his arm. They've activated something. Inside you. A failsafe. He blinked. What is it? You'll die. That's what it is. REX didn't flinch. How long? Seconds. Maybe less. He looked around. At the devastation. The silence after carnage. At her. Then. I need to stop them all. Now. No. Her voice cracked. You're not a tool. You're not their property. You don't owe them your death. He smiled. It was faint. Shy. Like a child trying it for the first time. But I owe you something. He reached for her wrist. Energy pulsed into the console. It glowed, then shut down. Failsafe disabled. She gasped. How? You gave me choices. I learned to rewrite my own code. But something else flickered in his expression, dull pain. I shut down the bomb. But not the decay. She stared. What decay? They built it into me. A timer. A final measure. Can't stop it. But I can finish this first. She shook her head. We'll find a way. I'll get you out. No, he said, gently. They'll keep coming. You know that. The ground rumbled again. Reinforcements incoming. Rex looked at her, then at the wreckage he'd left behind. Then upward. He rose, slowly, calmly. Hovered above the broken battlefield. His voice rang out, not loud, but everywhere. Skarn. Silence. Then the comms clicked open. Speak, human weapon. Rex's face was calm. You made the galaxy scream. You made me scream. No more. And then. He released everything. Light bloomed from his chest, his spine, his fingertips. The air warped. Metal vaporized. Soldiers dropped, not from wounds, but from the sudden loss of purpose, like their minds had been unplugged. Rex became gravity. Energy. Sound. A son born in a boy's frame. The command ship tried to flee. It never made it. Lyra shielded her eyes. But she didn't run. She stayed until the air cooled. Until the shaking stopped. Until it was just wind again. Then silence. She stood alone in the crater, surrounded by molten glass. Rex was gone. Only his footprints remained, scorched into stone. Her comm crackled. Command to Cade. Status? She replied, voice hoarse. Objective neutralized. Threat eliminated. A pause. And the asset? She looked at the sky. He wasn't an asset. He was our final answer. They didn't understand. They never would. A faint chime on her console. One last message, audio only. You didn't build a weapon. You gave me purpose. She smiled, eyes wet. Rest easy, son. Behind her, the wind carried no more screams. Only silence. Chapter 4, Echoes of a Name. 3 weeks after the crater cooled, Commander Lyra Cade stood before the Galactic Tribunal in Citadel Prime, clean, intact, and utterly alone. The council chamber felt colder than any battlefield. White floors. Holographic witness circles. 8 alien judges and 1 silent human ambassador behind tinted glass. They didn't ask her if she was ready. Begin testimony, said the central arbiter, a Telluran with translucent skin and blinking organ clusters. On record. Mission designation, Black Sigil. Subject, REX-7. Lyra didn't blink. Where should I start? At his final action, the arbiter replied. Describe it. Without interpretation. She stared ahead. Her voice didn't crack, didn't rise. He stopped the Deathworld Alliance invasion. Alone. Neutralized 2 cruisers, 7 drop forces, and 1 command-level threat. Estimated enemy casualties, total. The Telluran narrowed 3 of its 9 eyes. And his status? Terminated. Silence. Another judge spoke. This one, a Lari female, tapped long fingers against the crystalline table. You claim he deactivated your failsafe system? Correct. Then how did he die? Lyra exhaled. Self-decay. They built a degenerative timer into him. A final trigger no one told me about. The judges conferred silently, lips not moving. Their neural implants would decide if she spoke the truth. She continued anyway. REX chose to burn himself out rather than become the thing Skarn wanted him to be. The Telluran leaned forward. Are you saying the asset disobeyed his programming? She looked him dead in the eyes. No. I'm saying he rewrote it. A pulse swept the room. Verification wave. Truth detected. The council shifted. The Alari's voice turned softer. Commander Cade, you served in 9 active theaters. Earned the Cross of Terra. You know war. Why risk everything on him? She didn't hesitate. Because he wasn't a weapon. He was a mirror. And I saw us in him, at our worst, yes. But also at our best. A flicker of discomfort passed across one judge's features. Your final report said he left a message? Lyra nodded. It came through a restricted frequency. Voice imprint confirmed. It was him. Play it, they ordered. She tapped her console. The recording played, raw and quiet. You didn't build a weapon. You gave me purpose. That was all. The Alari leaned back. So what was his purpose, Commander? Lyra paused. Then whispered. To make us ask that question. The hearing ended in silence. No commendation. No reprimand. Just dismissal. The kind that screamed we want this forgotten. She left Citadel Prime the next day. No one saw her off. But someone else did. Lyra returned to Earth and disappeared from public record, by choice. The world moved on. The war ended in a truce no one trusted. The Deathworld Alliance fractured, their pride shattered. Years passed. But the crater remained. A memorial rose in its place, a black obelisk carved with no names, just one question, etched in steel. What will you create when no one's watching? Tourists visited. Scholars debated. Children touched the stone and asked who made it. One child in particular. He was 12 when he found her. On the edge of the forest, where she grew food with her hands and answered to no one. "Are you Commander Cade?" he asked. She froze, rake in hand. Turned slowly. He was lean, tall for his age, brown skin, curious eyes. Not a trace of metal. "I was," she said carefully. "Why are you asking?" He stepped forward. Held out something small, a data crystal. "This started glowing when I touched the monument. It said your name." Lyra took it, hesitating. Scanned it. The encryption key was unmistakable. Rex 7. Her throat tightened. She inserted it into the old transmitter in her cabin. It booted instantly, no passcode needed. A voice played, his voice. But older. Calm. Confident. "Lyra, if this reaches you, I want you to know, I survived." Her knees gave slightly. "I split myself before the end. Left a part of me buried, beyond their reach." A whisper seeded in biodust. The boy watched her silently. If this child touched the monument, it means the echo found him. He is not me. But he carries me. Lyra looked up. "What's your name?" He blinked. "Don't have one. Orphan camp just called me kid." She smiled gently. "Then let me give you one." He tilted his head. "Like you gave him?" She nodded. "Exactly like that." He waited. And she said it. "Your name is Silas." The boy smiled. "Cool." She laughed, the sound foreign but welcome. The sun dipped behind the trees. Inside the cabin, the voice played on. This galaxy was never about weapons or peace. It was always about choices. You made yours. I made mine. And now he'll make his. Lyra looked at Silas, already fiddling with the soil like he belonged. She whispered under her breath, to no one and to him all at once. "I never lost you." At night, the wind passed through the trees, gentle and constant. But deep beneath the soil, far beneath even memory, something glowed faintly. A seed. A spark. An echo of a name. And in the distance, where the stars watched silently, the screams had finally stopped.